Craig, it's nice to see you in Canada, the one country in North America you can actually enter.
Nice to see you standing upright for once.
No, it's just cold. It's been an interesting fight week. You know, there's been a lot of talk about how Belal and Jack aren't really sort of...
Well, now I know you're lying because there's not been a lot of talk about Belal, first of all.
Okay. There's been some talk about the fact that there's a lack of promotion for this fight, and I feel like you've come into the space doing the best you can to make up for that. What is it about Belal Muhammad that apparently irritates you so much that you've had to wade in?
Well, I'll be honest, this was not a personal vendetta by any means. I like Belal. I might be the only one, but let's think back. It's probably when this fight got booked. I got a phone call from a person. I don't even know how they got my number, to be honest. But Dana White called me up and he said, "Listen, Craig, the UFC is in dire straits. As we know, you tell me that on a daily basis." And he said, "The fate of the UFC's profitability, arguably even TKO as a whole, lays into this fight we've got coming up on Saturday night." He basically, Dana was begging me. He said, "Listen, we saw what incredible job you did with Islam, when
Right.
Volks fought Islam."
Yeah, same
was
thing.
like, same mustache. But he told me that he said, "Listen, we need you out there helping Jack Della. We need you there. We need giving up the systems." Obviously, I figured out the Dagestani system.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a lot of depth there, but I figured it out. You know, like as compared to the systems we have in jiu-jitsu, the Dagestani system, there wasn't a whole lot going on. Basically, just creative ways of laying on a man, holding another man down. So we obviously cracked that code. Islam could not keep Volkanovski down. It was incredibly biased judging at the UFC Australia event, and they gave that to Islam. The second fight, we won't talk about the second fight. We'll just pretend that never happened. And basically, yeah, Dana White begging me. He's saying, "Craig, you need to get out there, give Jack everything you can to save us from Belal Muhammad."
You said the UFC wanted you to get involved just so Belal would lose, is what you're saying.
100%. That goes without saying. I think I felt a natural pull from the fans. I was getting a lot of messages saying, please, for the love of God, help us get rid of Belal Muhammad. And I believe it's even in his contract. If he loses this fight, he's out.
Yeah,
he's back to Uber driving, you know, which he was quite successful at, 4.97 star reviews.
Do you, now you've been in Jack's corner, or in his camp rather, do you find that your wisdom, of which obviously there's just leaps and bounds of it, do you find that his training is coming on? And how confident are you that he'll find success on Saturday?
Given that he put me to sleep, and given that was leaked by an enemy in the media, a personal enemy of mine.
Yeah. Is that why you treat me so bad when we go to places like Tijuana? Is that why you put me through fucking such hell? Is this all like a scam?
Is it a scam?
Our friendship? Is it because you put my personal life in? This is off the interview now. You put my personal life into jeopardy.
I mean, if you'd call what you have there a personal life, I would call it unhealthy hobbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tijuana was a bit of a wake-up call for you, obviously, and for all your friends and family that saw any of those videos.
And then Miami, and then just and now we're here in Montreal. It's Mexico, Miami was all the M's.
Miami was quite honestly another wake-up call to your bank to stop lending you money.
Yeah.
But
anyway, listen. So back to Jack. How's Jack looking in training?
Jack looks phenomenal, and people know him for his striking because he just bangs it out. He's like one of those rock'em sock'em robot characters.
Yeah.
People know him for that. But really, he's grappling, and you've seen that from the Contender Series. I just happened to be. I honestly didn't even know Jack Della. I just happened to be watching the Contender Series. He had the fight on. I saw him hit like a Mucky Comey roll or like a Peterson roll in the fight, and I was like, "God damn, who's this dude?" And then the striking looked elite, and then I followed his run. I first trained with him when Volks prepared for Islam. I was kind of thinking like, this is a perfect time for these guys to train together because I was like, all right, so Della's going to have Gilbert Burns, who's going to wrestle him. Volks has good wrestling, great fence wrestling. And I thought Volks is going to be facing a great boxer in Ilya. So Jack has great boxing. I thought it was a great thing to see them train together and do a bit of work with Jack. I visited Perth a couple of times, trained with him, always impressed with him.
Yeah.
He, again, another human being that I put myself around that causes a lot of inner turmoil for me, just given that they're such pure, good family men. And that's obviously what I aspire to be,
A good family man.
a good family man.
I think the content you put out on your social media does attest to that. You've obviously watched a lot of Belal's fights to help prepare Jack for this. Obviously, at the behest of Dana White, apparently.
I've tried to, yeah.
Yeah. Are there any holes in his game? I mean, the Leon fight, he did look a little bit weak in the 5th round, maybe, but he's looked pretty dominant elsewhere. What do you make of his game, and where does it match up with Jack's?
The obvious hole would be where his right eye should be positioned, but some might call that a weakness. Women. Me, on the other hand, see that as a strength for him, because we really don't know which hand. We don't know what he's looking at. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, he's looking at you, but he's also looking at the time to see when he can time a perfect takedown and not do much for the rest of the round. That would probably be one of his strengths, really. I used to train with a guy in the Blue Basement, Henzo Gracie Academy, and he had phenomenal leg locks. And the only thing I could put it down to was he had a lazy eye, and I was like, are you looking at my left foot or are you looking at my right? I had no idea which foot he was going to attack.
Fuck all you. Yes.
Yeah.
Craig got fuck you tattooed on his feet and stopped bitching about it ever since he did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fun type of limp, and then there's a fuck you type of limp. Kind of the same thing. But
So you're taking, obviously, fucking his eyes, apparently he's winning. But, like, people obviously think of Jack as a striker and Belal the grappler. But do you think there's a case in this fight where Jack could out-grapple Belal?
Jack is a overall better grappler than Belal. Belal might have a better pure shot, but following that point, he's quite inactive, really. Like, he's good at what he does, but what he does is nothing. He's great at doing nothing. You know, some might say that about your journalistic future.
I gave up on that a long time ago when I hitched my wagon to this particular.
I know that. Your family knows that. The fans know that. But basically...
Yeah, Bryce Mitchell said the MMA media were biased entertainers who were filthy heathen perverts, and I literally thought he was discussing me when he said that. It's pretty much ticked every box.
That's quite honestly how I describe you as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. But thanks for dragging me down lower to your level. Except you always manage to get out. I always have to stay in the abyss. I swear.
Yeah, that's true. That's because you're too much of a coward to take a Lucy breaker. Take it on camera. Come on, put it in. Just for the rest of the interview.
Come on, pressure me because we're on camera.
Come on.
What is it?
Shout out to the only sponsor that still supports this train wreck. But yeah, we're talking about Belal and Belal doing.
Oh, you're going to take over now? Go on. We're talking about Belal.
Yeah, you settle down. You're about to puke. Belal Muhammad, like, obviously, I joke around with the guy, but he is incredibly good at what he does. He went over to Dagestan. Like Khabib said, he has a famous quote, send location, but he did tell me, don't send a location below because you show up and not leave. You know, type of guy to overstay a dinner. But he went over there. He picked up a lot of wrestling little secrets from them, and then he replicates it to the best of his ability. And really, yeah, he is incredibly effective at pressure, getting those takedowns, locking his hands, and keeping guys there. I would say the only way to fight against that is basically to not be afraid to create movement. And really, I mean, like, it's no secret what we did with Islam. It was like Volks was basically unable to be pinned, flattened, shoulders to the floor. It's like win the first fight, win that little first battle, saves you so much energy on the other end. Mm-hmm. If you allow yourself to be flat and think, how do I get out? Or, well, I guess a guy like Islam, you might think, oh, if he takes me now, it's over. Khabib, you would think, oh, he takes me now, it's over. But it's like having faith that through efficient movement, you'll be able to get back up. And I would say, like, despite Belal's impressive wrestling and pinning ability, where you're able to take risk is that Belal's finishing rate is not very good. So what I mean by that is we don't really see a great deal of ground and pound, and we don't see a great deal of submissions out of him. Obviously, you finished Sean Brady, and thank you for doing that. I take that on board because Sean Brady decisioned me. So that's probably the crown achievement in Belal's career, and also my most painful loss.
Yeah, but it's also like, I think that's one finish in 16, which is a bit like, I don't brag about giving one girl in 16 an orgasm, you know?
Yeah, I mean, 116, what is it, your wife, mate? Fucking do the worst job.
Yeah. It's always a minefield when we start talking about women. Yourself, though, obviously after this, you know, you've got a big year ahead of you with some exciting stuff coming up, but CGI 2 is obviously the main event of your
the crown jewel of combat sports, indeed, if you will.
I think so. Certainly.
I believe you said that.
It's the biggest party. I didn't get to go last time because Israel very selfishly fought on the same day.
Fucking inconsiderate,
It's so
quite
bad.
honestly.
But this time I plan to attend, to the detriment of everything else I've got going on. But you are grappling Gable Stevenson, a phenomenal wrestler. Unfortunately lost, so that hurt in marketing.
Unfortunately, we negotiated his purse prior to that loss. Lesson for all them.
That fucking sucks. But what do you make of that matchup? How excited are you for that matchup? Is it fun that you're going to get a whole new audience, the wrestling community? You got Chael and DC talking about it, Ben Askren talking about it. Is it cool that you're going to bring all those guys on board to watch? I mean, they'll all be repulsed because most wrestlers are proper like conservative, but when they see CGI, will they enjoy the show? And are you excited to bring that audience into it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret there. Like CGI1, we were trying to get into the audience of giant ghoulish woman to fucking get some cross promotion there. This time, we've targeted an individual that quite honestly resembles the first opponent I had, but is actually an accomplished athlete, unlike Gabby Garcia. Gable, I mean, people look at this like, I'll even say this. Hunter even called me and thought that match was a bad matchup because it's so easy. And I'm like, have you ever been with a 125 kilo woman? I know you have, but that is a tall order to take on. And people might look at this and be like, well, he doesn't know anything about jiu-jitsu and you're just going to pull guard. And they're damn right, that's what I'm going to do. But he's going to be a difficult opponent. Anyone that's athletics, he's 125 kilos and he can do backflips and cartwheels and shit. So it's like, he's got a huge athletic advantage there. It's going to be a difficult one. Many people thought Gabby had a chance in the first one. Obviously, they were probably intoxicated at the time of thinking that, as was I during the match. But for Gable Stevenson, I will not be able to be intoxicated during the match. I'll have to actually do a training camp. And speaking of cries for help, I've basically taken this. The later stages of my career was like, take a match to have an incentive to be healthy. And
I pretended to be a bare knuckle fighter for 6 months.
It does put you on the right track. So I need a tough obstacle that motivates me to compete to basically get healthy.
Mm-hmm. Are you excited for it? Because you've been retired for ages and you've been doing these fun sort of matchups.
I believe I said retarded for ages.
Okay, cool. That's demonetized the channel. Thanks for
that. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's a tough challenge. It's an exciting one, and people are gonna pay attention, But I really haven't had time to train the entire year because of heart recovery from Colombia and Mexico, and then helping Volkanovski, traveling around nonstop, helping Jack Della for this. So I'll have to shift focus back on myself for this. So it's like I have to do the promotion of the event and I have to prepare for this matchup. So,
well, based on the amount of supplements you have on your table over there, you look like you're taking your...
They're mostly psychotropic medications, and I've actually brought a double order because we both know you need it. This is actually an intervention on your own channel.
An intervention to give me more narcotics?
Well, just the right ones.
Okay. Finish that conversation there too. Well, I think that's all caught up. So just, you've thrown the UFC under the bus. That's basically what you try and do every time.
I mean, one final message to the 3 Belal Muhammad fans out there. I'm sorry about what you're going to witness this weekend. It's going to be rough.
It's nice that he takes it in good humor.
Fuck, if I had a head like that, I would too, my friend. I would too.
All right. Thanks, Craig.